stun on the gram, I stun on your man, I stun on your chick. Cause I get it lit, yeah. Cause I get it lit. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Pose Down. I'm your host, The Kid Plot. We got a special guest in the building today, Ifbb professional bodybuilder Antonio Mitchell. I'm watching the flick, she got in my whip, lil' mama will stick. Pull up on the game, they screaming my name, cause I get it lit. I handle my business as God is my winners, they know I'm legit. What's up, my man?
What's up, fam?
Damn, looking swole over here. What's good,
yeah,
baby?
we trying to do a little something.
Hey, so how's everything going with you, man?
Man, it's good, man. I'm blessed.
That's what's up, man. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to sit down with me. So
I usually don't get out the house, man. Just to let you know, I usually don't do shit during peak weeks.
You making me feel. Oh yeah, because you're 4 days out, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
You doing what show you doing?
Kentucky Muscle, Louisville, October 19th, 20th. It's a 2-day show.
Well, you look, you definitely look 4 days out.
we working on it. Y'all know though, man. It's this week where you make or break. So hopefully there'll be no mistakes.
That's what's up. So do you have a coach working with you right now to prepare you?
I have a mentor / coach. I guess you could say a coach per se. I work with Dave Palumbo. You know, I've been working with him for off and on for several years. You know, he usually just kind of critiques whatever I write up for myself. I've been my own coach, you know, my entire career, you know, training wise, diet wise. But I got with Dave back in 2010 for a show, and then ever since then I kind of mentor and go back to him when I have questions or if I want him to look over my diet and maybe tweak it a little bit, you know, and definitely to do my peak week this time. So being my first time back on stage in over 2 years, not want to leave anything to chance, I'm going to let him take care of my peak week. These last 2 weeks I've been working with him.
So how does he feel? How do you guys feel together as a team? Like, does he feel you're progressing? You know, are you on time with your progress so far?
Well, when I sent him my first pictures, he was like, you know, you look good. Let's do this with the diet. I just want you to change this one thing in the diet that you wrote for yourself. So I did that. Sent me pics in 3 days. Sent him the pics. He got the pics back. He was like, man, it's amazing to me how quickly your body changes. Wow. Sent me pics in 3 days. Sent him back pics in 3 days. He's like, LOL, you're contest ready already. Seriously. So today he sent me my email, said that I look the best that I've ever looked as far as a men's physique is concerned. Men's physique is concerned. So
he's been working with you, like, I guess as you get, you know, peak week for since 2010?
Since 2010, so he knows my physique probably as good as I do.
So 8 years later, he feels that this is your best package for men's physique.
Yeah.
That's what's up, man. I mean, he definitely knows what he's talking about, so that must have made you feel really confident.
It did, you know, because I'm about 3 pounds, maybe 4 pounds heavier than I was the last time I did men's physique in 2015. Okay. So in my mind, I'm thinking I'm fat. I'm looking in the mirror like, man, my waist is big. You know, I either, you know, ate a baby or I'm about to have one.
Listen, man. So I've been watching bodybuilding since the 90s. You definitely don't have any bubble gut issue or anything like that, man.
But I'm a head case. You know, I coach athletes myself, and it's easy for me to look at other athletes and tell them, you know, what they should do. Yeah. But when I look at myself, you know, we're all our biggest critics, and I get in my head a lot, and I'll do something to fuck up my diet that I didn't need to do. So it's nice to have a second set of eyes and one that knows and is familiar with your body, you know what I'm saying? So that we don't, you know, leave anything to chance and we can go in there with our best foot forward. So
if you had to take a guess, because I mean, I've known you for a while, you have a very, very small waist and a very wide back at the same time. What size waist would you say you have if you had to? Because I think you told me you never measured it.
No, I've measured it a couple of times just playing around with it. Never measured it at a show though. Okay. But you know, the last time I measured going into a show was right around 28 inches. So I imagine it probably drops down a little bit lower than that when I'm dried out.
That's crazy.
And on
how
stage.
About your back? What about how wide?
Don't know how wide my lats are. At least not off the top of my head. I'm sure I've got it written down somewhere. But I know that back has always been one of my favorite muscle groups to train. I've always made pull-ups a staple in my back workout from day one. So it responds pretty good. It used to be a lot bigger, a lot wider, you know. My main, you know, deal right now is wondering if it's going to actually be too much back, you know, for men's physique. So,
well, I guess we'll find out coming in the next few days.
It is what it is now. The contract signed and in the mail. So.
Right. So how do you feel about your chances coming up for the Kentucky Muscle?
I feel like I'm going to win.
Okay.
You know, I feel this. I go into and it's not to take anything away from anybody else, but I go into every single show that I compete in thinking I'm going to win. You know, I say it leading up to the show. I write it down. I put it in the universe. You know, I focus on it when I'm tired. You know, it's my version of the Mamba mentality. You know, favorite basketball player, favorite athlete. My version of the Mamba mentality. So, you know, I go into every show thinking I'm going to win, but not because I'm cocky, but because I prepared. Right. Because I did my homework. You know, so all you can do in bodybuilding is what you can do, and then when you get up on the stage, it's up to the judges at that point. So I've done everything I can do.
So being that you prepared, you did everything you possibly could to get ready for this show. You said you've done your homework. Is there anybody in the lineup that you're worried about that you think that can beat you or that you need to look out for?
Well, I don't know the lineup just yet. They usually post it about a week before the contest. It may be up. I haven't looked today. I only know of one other person. Okay. But that being said, no. I don't care who's in the lineup. No. I'm sorry. I mean, hey, if I lose to you, then I tip my hat. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm coming for the dub.
Right. That's what's up, man. So, one of the things that because I've obviously known you for a while, you've always challenged that top spot at every show that you've competed at. You've finished top 6 in every competition you've done. Is there any reason in particular that you have not done more shows to build your resume up like some other guys? Like if you look at Andre Ferguson, when he was making a real push, he literally did 6-7 shows in a year. 2 years ago, he did 6-7 shows just to build that resume, get as many W's. Get as many W's as he could. So my question is there any reason why you haven't done more shows to kind of build your resume as well?
Well, 2015, was when I made the comeback to the NPC, from a different organization, and I chose to do Men's Physique.
Okay.
And I was fine. I had a successful, year with Men's Physique. Finished second at Masters Nationals, and then I went on and made my pro debut at the Tampa Pro a few weeks later, finished 5th, and then a few weeks after that, I did the Coastal here in Atlanta, got 2nd. A few weeks after that, I did the Atlantic City Europa and got 6th. Not long after that, I'm saying maybe within a couple of weeks, the announcement was made that there would be Classic Physique coming the next year. So it was already the end of the season anyways. I did compete a lot that year. And on average, every year that I've competed for 20 years. And aside from 3 of those years, I've done at least 2 or 3 shows a year, every year for the duration of that 20 years. But I got hit with a health condition called laryngeal spasms associated with intractable persistent hiccups. And basically what that is it's not, hiccups like, let me scare you, boo, they'll stop. It doesn't work like that. I would get hiccups between 1 and 10 times consecutively like a machine gun. So 1 and 10 times consecutively every 3 to 5 seconds for 4 to 6, at the most 8 hours, 5 to 6 days a week. And it just came out of nowhere. It just... One day I started hiccuping and I never stopped, and what would happen was I couldn't eat. When I would eat, I would throw up. I couldn't train. I couldn't sleep. I didn't have a life. If I wasn't a spiritual dude, man, I'm telling you, there were times where I contemplated hurting myself, and you know what I mean when I say that. Right. It was that bad. So it put the brakes. It put a timeout on my competitive career. Otherwise, I would have been competing every show that I could have. However, you still got to peak for a show, so, I would have kept up with the, 3 to 4 shows a year, but instead, this caused me to, one, not be able to qualify to compete at the Olympia, which I qualified for in my last show, 2016, the Hurricane Bay Classic down in Tampa.
When you did that show, you qualified for the Olympia, and because you won that show,
right?
And you didn't do the Olympia because of the hiccups.
Because of the hiccups. The 2 shows leading up to that I did, the Grand Prix was my best look, but that wasn't even my best look. It's like the hiccups started about 5 months before that, and so I wasn't eating I was basically just holding on for dear life. Mm-hmm. And with each show, I got a little bit worse as far as I was concerned, as far as my size and my hardness and my fullness, to the point where I got to the Hurricane Pro, and I ended up winning that show with a lesser physique, but the competition wasn't all that strong. Doesn't matter. A win is a win. I can't choose who shows up. I just brought my package.
Sure.
But right after that, what I'm saying, it's like I was going to spend the entire year getting ready for the Olympia to correct my weaknesses and improve. And then the hiccups hit me even harder for the next year and a half, and I wasn't able to do anything, so I wasn't able to train. I lost a lot of weight. I went from about 240 pounds down to 210 pounds. So I lost a lot of muscle, all of it for the most part, and not just from my legs, from my upper body, from everything else. So, so that kind of put a damper and a halt on me competing as frequently as I wanted to.
Okay, and is that also the reason why you went from, classic back down to men's physique as far as size-wise?
Exactly. Okay. They increased the weight for classic physique, which was fine had I been where I was, and I would have just kept on climbing up. Okay. But with the cutoff weight for my height at 6'2", being 240 pounds, I'd have to put on a lot of lean muscle in my legs. My legs, they're not small, but they're not that ill proportioned. But for classic, you gotta be dominant in your quads. That's what they're looking at. I just wanted to compete again. It'd been a while since I competed. Am I done doing classic? I'm not saying that. But right now, I'm a men's physique guy, and when I'm focusing on one thing, I focus on that 100%. I don't look past this game to the more important or the bigger or the better team, that's coming up, the following week. It's like right now I'm doing men's physique, so that's where my head is. But yeah, that is the reason why I had to stop classic, was because I lost too much size. And, when you put your size back on, it's got to solidify, it's got to cement, it's got to settle. So the last muscle that you gain is the first you lose when you start to diet. And I hadn't been back in the game long enough to get back on the classic stage and bring my physique. And the physique that I won with in 2016 would be bottom 16 in 2018. And I'm not a bottom 18 dude. I'm a first call out dude. So, so if you can't, be with the one you love the one you with.
Right.
So right now I'm in physique.
So check this out. Andre Ferguson, right?
Yes, my man.
Okay. I just interviewed him. Now, the reason why I'm asking you about him is, would you agree that he's one of the best men's physique competitors
Hands
in the
down.
world?
Hands down.
Okay. Now, that should give you some perspective, because
I beat Andre though.
You beat him. You beat him, and that's where I was going. So in 2015, you competed against him at the Coastal,
right,
in Atlanta, Georgia, and he got third, you got second. Is that right?
Yeah.
So
should have got first.
That you should have. I think you should have got first as well. I was there in person. I actually competed that show as well. I did the amateur.
That's right.
Yeah. Now my thing is, that must give you some perspective, because if Dave Palumbo says that you look better now for men's physique, even better than in 2015 when you competed at that pro show, which you beat one of the best Ifbb men's physique pros today, I would say you have pretty good chances of challenging the top spot at any show.
No, not any show.
Okay.
I'm going to be in the top spot or challenging for the top spot at the show. That's my mindset. The Olympia. It's an Olympia quest. Right. The fact that I beat Andre in 2015 means nothing to me in 2019 because Andre's better also, and he was off that day. I'm not taking nothing from my man. He was off that day, and that was my best look, which is why it pissed me off that I didn't win.
Okay.
I worked hard for that show. It was at home, so I literally got up every 2 hours all throughout the night and ate. So I feel like that. Andre, Brandon, I got a lot of respect for these guys.
What about
Raymond?
You guys are both 6'2".
We're about the same height, and he's got a pretty good build on him.
Yeah. Andre calls him Megatron.
Well, Megatron meet the specimen. So if that answers your question, there you go. Like I said, no disrespect to nobody, but in my mind, if I bring my game, see. Hard work can beat great genetics when great genetics don't work hard.
Right.
But when great genetics works hard, it's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
So, this physique that I'm bringing this week is nothing close to the one that I would be able to bring with even 3 months. I've only been back to training hard for the last 2 months after these last 2.5 years, 2 years. So, I just decided, I want to compete, let me jump on the show. And at first I thought it was going to be classic. Like I said, I put on a lot of size. I was looking pretty good at that weight, but I couldn't have brought that weight in condition. And by the time I finished drying out and whatnot, I felt like I was more of a men's physique guy for this particular show. And maybe, let me tell you this about men's physique. And I know it's a little bit of a tangent for me on the tangent, but I like the way I look when I'm not on stage. I'm not a huge fan of the way men's physique is on stage because, they're small, and I'm not a huge fan of the posing, except the guys that are really good at it. Much like bikini, I'm not a fan of their posing, except for the girls that are really good at it. But I love the way I look, and I love the way that I feel, and I feel healthier. The hiccups aren't nearly as bad. I don't know if there's any correlation there. My sleep apnea is gone when I'm lighter, and I like the way I look walking around at 225, 6% body fat, and I can maintain that on a daily basis, dry out, do a men's physique show, do some photo shoots, and then go back to living my life and my lifestyle. I'm athletic, I still feel good. When I was pursuing classic physique, I was never happy. I was never satisfied because I was always chasing getting bigger. Same thing when I was open bodybuilding. I never looked in the mirror and was happy with what I saw because I was constantly trying to get bigger and I wasn't big enough, so I wasn't good enough. In this category, I may not be the best guy on stage and may not win, but at the end, I look damn sure good in some pictures, and I feel good walking around. It's more representative of what I want to be post-career, and I'm at the end of my career, so I've spent 20 years chasing the win. Now I just want to bask in the breeze.
Right.
So
how many more years do you plan on competing for? I know you said you're at the end of your career, but obviously not in 2019 because you're going to compete 2019 as well, correct?
Right.
Because you just said if you win this show coming up in 4 days, when you win this show coming up in 4 days, we're going to put it in existence because I believe you have what it takes and you have the all the goods to win. When you win coming up in 4 days and you get this qualification for the Olympia in 2019, you're going to be on that stage, correct?
Absolutely.
You're not going to miss it this time.
I mean, if I won this show...
You have to be dead in order to miss it? Or is it going to be something more, or anything catastrophic?
I mean, look, all you got to do, if I'm dead, all they got to do is wheel the casket out there, set it up,
So you're going to be there one way or another.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, my muscle shouldn't go away that fast. But, and if I'm dead, it shouldn't go away at all. But anyways, all jokes aside, I'll be there. And say, for instance, I do win this show when I'm qualified for the Olympia next year, I still plan to compete 3 or 4 times next year. I've already got shows picked out that I want to do. Okay. So I'm going to compete regardless.
Can you let us know what shows those are, or you're not? You don't want to put it out? I mean, I want to be the first to be able to let everybody know.
Well, I plan to do New York Pro.
Okay.
And I definitely plan to.
You're going to see Andre over there.
I see my guy. I'll see the best of the best. And see, my thing is, I either want to compete against a large lineup or the best lineup.
Best lineup.
When I won my Olympia qualification in Classic, I didn't compete against, and no disrespect to those dudes, but they was garbage. You know what I'm saying?
Damn.
It's like, I wasn't garbage. I brought my physique, but but it's hard to get respect from the industry when they go back and look at the pictures from the contest and be like, oh, well, he looked like that and they look like that.
Right.
I'm a competitor. I mean, I'm driven by competition. And so I want to compete against the best of the best. And if I lose, that's good. It gives me a measuring stick of what I need to improve on. Sure. And if I win, well, what comes along with winning. So, New York Pro, and Tampa Pro. And Tampa Pro holds a special place in my heart. So I'm definitely trying to do the Tampa Pro. Okay. If I do Classic, I won't be competing until the Tampa Pro. Okay. If I do Physique, then I'll do New York Pro Classic. New York Pro, Tampa Pro, and then I've got 2 more, but I'll keep those under wraps.
So your amount of time that you plan on competing for is still undetermined?
Looking towards, like I said, I initially said I wanted to compete until I was 46 years old. That would have given me 20 full years of competing and about 15 of competing in a physique sport, bodybuilding or whatnot, fitness modeling. But right now I feel healthy. Aside from the hiccups, I feel healthy as far as injuries are concerned. My physique isn't breaking down. I'm still fresh as far as my look, still lean, still have a waist. So until I, get my ass kicked, and for me that means at least not, I don't even want to say second call out because I do first call outs. I'll compete, until unless I'm spending more money than I'm making. But that's always been the case. Who was it? Shannon Day that said you'll make $1 million and you'll never make it back. You'll spend $1 million and you'll never make it back. Yeah. So I don't worry about so much about that. So right now it's just basically dependent upon my health and my placings. If I don't do well, then that's the judges saying, you know what, dude, you're old. It's time to move on. Find something new. But if I'm competitive, especially against these younger guys, I'm going to compete.
How old are you?
I'm 45.
45.
And bodybuilding is one of those things where, the shelf life is a little bit longer. I like to think of myself as my version of Dexter Jackson.
Word. That's a good version to be, man. That man,
he's a
49?
He's a beast. And we're similar in a lot of ways. When I started this thing, I was 24 years old, 6'2", 145 pounds.
Oh, I've seen the picture.
At my most, I've weighed 245 pounds. That's over 100 pounds. But I know Dexter started off as a bantam and he worked his way up and he's still going. He's got the gray beard, so do I. But the gray beard dudes, we still handing it to these young grasshoppers. So, as long as I'm able to do that, then I'll compete. Probably no more than 2 more years at the most. But right now, I'm taking it year by year in 2019. 2019, I want to be in the Olympia, and if I do the Olympia, I can sail off, because had I done the Olympia in 2016, I would have been done. That was my last show.
Right.
You know.
So my final question for you is: so as an Ifbb pro, do you feel that new competitors get overlooked on the pro stage?
I think competitors that didn't bring the hardware, that didn't bring it, get overlooked on a competitive stage. I think that if you are spot on and you're drawing eyes to you, you know, and you're looking at the guys that you think should get it, like I tell everybody, my clients, myself, you got to be so good that politics changes its mind. So yeah, you come into the show and the favorites are there. You know, the guys who everybody knows about from the magazines, from the supplements, from competing consistently, from being in front of the same judges. So the judges know who they are. They're going to look to them first. But if you're a newcomer and you have a physique that's matching right up with those guys, or even better conditioning wise, then I don't think you're going to get overlooked. Except for maybe at the bigger shows like the Olympia, you know, then yeah, it becomes kind of paying dues, and the only way you're not going to get overlooked if you're new is if you are just that, you're a Phil Heath type of dude. Okay. You know, I mean, Phil Heath is not getting overlooked on anybody's stage, new, you know, or old, you know. So if you're bringing that type of presence, that type of physique, I don't think you're going to get overlooked. But yeah, I think that guys tend to get overlooked. You know, there's politics in this sport, you know, as there is in life, you know, and that's something that we just have to deal with. Politics is life. And again, that's why you have to try to be so good that politics changes its mind, because everybody is working hard. Everybody wants to win. Everybody said, I'm going to get this. And everybody is sacrificing and suffering to be the best, some more than others, you know, and it sucks to go through all that and then get on stage and you don't even get the first call out, or you don't get compared next to somebody that you think you should beat, that you know the judges are looking at as a contender, you know, because you can't beat him if they can't compare you to him in a game of comparison. So yeah, I think that people get overlooked. But you got to know going in what the sport is, and you do that show, and then you do another show, Eventually, you're not getting overlooked, because eventually you're the person that they recognize and not the person that's coming up behind you. You know, if you got a thin skin, you got to have a thin skin in bodybuilding physically. But if you have a thin skin proverbially, then it's probably not the sport for you.
Yeah. So I know I said that was the last question, but I actually have another one that I forgot to bring up. Do you, when you're preparing for a show, do you compare yourself to the guys you're, like when you're getting ready, when you said you do your homework, you're looking at the lineup, if you see the lineup, you know who you're competing against. So let's, you know, when you win this show coming up in 4 days, you get the qualification, you're going to know who you're competing against at the New York Pro. You're going to know who you're competing against in Tampa. You're going to know who you're competing against in the Olympia.
I know who Mr. Olympia is.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all I care about.
Exactly. So being that you know who the champ is from the year before, you obviously got to come up, you got to have a game plan, right? Or am I wrong? No,
absolutely. It's, you know, you got to do your homework. You got to, when I see the competitor list come up, I love the world of social media sometimes. So when I see the competitor list come up, I'll usually go through and look at everybody's Instagram that's competing, that has an Instagram. See what they look like, for the several months leading up to the show, what they look like right now. They have pictures posted. You know, I'll even, you know, splice and take, you know, comparison shots of myself in similar poses and match them up to the other people, because I understand that I can look at a picture of myself by myself all day and I'm like, I look great. Right. But that's not bodybuilding. You know, I mean, bodybuilding is a game of comparisons. So I'll take my little app and I'll put myself next to guys, you know, and, you know, compare myself and see, okay, I need to, in order to highlight my strength, or hide my weakness, I need to do this. I need to train that harder.
So
I need to pose differently.
What are your weaknesses?
What do I think my weaknesses are?
For men's physique, what is it that you think that you need to work on?
I think I need to fill in my upper chest a little bit more. Okay. My deltoids have a weird shape to them. They're not like round, cannonball round for whatever reason. And I don't know if that's genetic, if I'll ever be able to fix that, but I'm working on that, you know, with some different movements to try to spot train there. My abs could be better, you know. I don't like training abs, you know, but it's men's physique. You got to have them. And my calves, and then my arms. So my arms are long, you know. I feel like my fingertips touch my knees. I mean, but and because of that, I got to fill my arms out a little bit more so they don't look so long and lanky and take away from the proportions of my chest and my shoulders and my back. So there's always room to improve your physique, which is why we have improvement season. And it's one of the beautiful things about this sport is that It's why we call it a journey and not a destination, because even Mr. Olympia goes back to the tape and looks at it and sees what he needs to work on, next show. And speaking of tape, you go to the tape and you look at your competitors as well and see what they got, what they have, and what you can, improve on in that short amount of time to highlight yourself and, low light, the person that you're competing against. So yeah, I've got weaknesses, maybe the posing. My thing is, I'll finish a show, and if I lose, I'm not going to sit there. I'll be mad for about, I tell my clients they got 24 hours to bitch and moan and cry. Then you got to get over that shit and get back in the gym. I don't even give myself that long. I give myself a couple of hours, and then I'm looking. As soon as the pictures come up, then that's a wrap. I'm done with that whole pouting and all that. I'm going to look at the pictures, because I'll always be able to go to the pictures and see something that I could have improved. And if there's something that I could have improved, then I can't justifiably say I should have won. When I bring a package that says there's no need to improve, or I'm as close to perfection in my mind as I can get, and I lose, then I'll, bitch about it, cry about it, and even then I'll only do it to myself. I won't do it to everybody else, and damn sure not to social media.
Right.
But yeah, so there's some things I want to improve on, and a lot of that feedback's going to come from the judges. If they tell me that I'm just too hard, too vascular, too muscular, too dense for men's physique, I have to decide: do I want to change that and stay in men's physique, or do I want to sacrifice and suffer and make eating my job again, and try to come back to the classic stage next year? So a lot of that, remains to be determined.
Yeah. Thank you for watching. Subscribe here to make sure to stay up to date with all the videos, and make sure to hit the notification button.